Hey YouTube, my name's Kino and thanks for joining me. Welcome back to Kalapolis. Now in our last episode, for those of you that weren't there, we were explaining exactly what the ancient city was and just how dangerous and sinister it is. I also dropped the bombshell that I wanted to make a base down here and reclaim it as my own. Now you can see a sneak peek in the background of just how far I've come and the progress and how it sort of looks nearing finish. But this was done in 3 stages. Firstly, I needed to reclaim the ancient city from the Skulk and the Warden. Secondly, I needed to rebuild it because it's very, very old and ruined. Then I needed to repopulate it. Today, we're going to be looking at just how much fun I had taking this back from the Warden. So, after strip mining for thousands and thousands of blocks in various directions underneath mountains and finding absolutely nothing, I learned that the best way to find these ancient cities in 1.19 was actually to go caving. So I found a nice random cave, dropped myself in, and eventually, after nearly 2 days of streaming, I found exactly what I was looking for. This is where we left us in the last episode, and we dropped down into this ancient city, and we need to start making it safe. The first thing we needed to do was to get rid of these skulk sensors. Now these are the things that set off the shriekers, which in turn call the Warden. So I knew that wool had a dampening effect, meaning if I put wool on each side of these, nothing around it can hear. The only thing that will hear me break it now is from above, and I was fairly certain there was nothing there. Because the wool works so well, it's also great for walkways, so we do use a lot in this process. As you can see, I build a walkway to this sensor, I block it off all the way around until I'm completely 100% sure there's nothing in the area, and I jump up and I use my pickaxe to mine it. Now I know that a hoe is the weapon of choice here, but I only had Silk Touch on this pickaxe at the time. So using the wool, I could actually use these on the sensors and the shriekers. So when I came across 2 shriekers here for the first time, I was bricking it. But I covered the entire area in wool until I was completely certain that I could start breaking them without calling the Warden. Once I broke them, I then could start clearing the wall back off, ready to rebuild the ancient city. This is when I got the first glimpse of the ancient city treasure. So, for the next 6 to 8 hours, I used my wall to make my walkways, to make my bridges, and to block off all of the skulk sensors and skulk shriekers, and try and clear as much as possible to make the ancient city somewhat safer than when I found it. Now whilst doing this, I came across 2 issues, the first of which was these old temples. Now these are fantastic buildings, but they have got skulk sensors and shriekers everywhere, and these temples were all over the place. second problem we came up against was playing on bedrock. Now, no mobs should spawn in the deep dark biome and especially the ancient cities. However, on bedrock there has been a bug since day one, meaning that mobs do spawn down here, making it even harder for bedrock players. Now, as you can see here, I can hear a mob, and this is causing a problem because it's actually setting the sensor off on the right. Now, this sensor could call the Warden. Now, in this instance, I decided to kill the mob. He set the sensor off, it's not going to be a problem. But in other times, we can be exploring an area we've not been to before, and in the corner of our eye, we see a green devil. Now here we have to run to an area we know is already been cleared so that we can safely kill the mobs. Now this poses a huge problem on bedrock because these can call the Warden and cause you lots of problems down the line. And as you will see, these mobs are everywhere. Once I was sure that all of the sculk sensors and sculk shriekers were cleared from the ancient city, I needed to make a quick way in and out so I could start bringing down supplies to start the next phase of the project, which was rebuilding the ancient city. Now at this stage I have plans for a grand entrance, probably using some form of elevator, maybe a bubble column, maybe slime. But all I really wanted to do was to get to the surface, get some supplies and crack on. So for this stage, I just started a very crude staircase where I dug up and up and up, and almost 250 blocks later I finally got to where I needed to be, the surface. Once back at the surface, I then made my way back over to my base and to the newly built brewing station where I stocked up on the much needed night vision potions. Now, not only to replace the night vision potion I'd already used, but I knew that I would need an abundance more for the final part of the first stage, which was making the ancient city mine. So once I've got stocked up, I flew back over to the ancient city and I started taking a load of the night vision potion before I got to the final section. The last thing I had to do was to light this ancient city up. Now I couldn't mob proof it completely at this stage, because that was a project in itself that I'll be showing you next time. But we went around with some lamps which are going to change because I really don't like the aesthetics of them, but just to try and make this ancient city a little bit safer so that I can finally start rebuilding and making this place mine. And if you've liked what you've seen and you've been intrigued and you want to see more and where it goes, then please do hit that subscribe button to catch all the next videos in this series. Also hit the like button and share as and when you can, it will be very much appreciated. And if you want to see just how I've managed to take over this ancient city and completely mob proof it, then please stick around. Remember, build like no one's watching, and I'll catch you up soon.